The arena season is ending this Sunday, and we still do have the usual weekly update coming this Wednesday, so maybe there's some changes that'll happen. They're at least going to have to announce whether the new season is starting immediately or if there's a preseason for the next arena season. But let's talk about the big issues that were occurring during this season. I'd say there's three really big ones. So first up, I previously mentioned that they implemented a new point system for this season, and that point system ended up kind of being a disaster because every time you attack, it's generally a net point loss unless you're streaking super hard. So the only way to really climb up to high point totals was to spam a bunch of Skystones. And that also just meant that for the average player, it's not really possible to climb into higher ranks. Like right now, I'm rank 46. This should be Legend 5. I'm Champion 1. And this point is actually slightly below Champion 1. This is... Champion 1 is 5,800. So this is more like Champion 2 right now. And this is a big issue because for anybody who would be an Emperor or Legend, you're losing out on a lot of Skystones. So we can take a look at the weekly Skystone income here. Champion 2, which is where pretty much the entire would-be Emp players are right now. The whole top 1k is in this Champion 2 range. So 830. An Emperor, you'd be losing 20 to 70 Skystones, which honestly isn't that much. Emperor isn't that big of a reward. It's bigger once you hit Legend, because there's a 100 Skystone jump getting into Legend. So people rank 51 to 100 are losing out on 170 Skystones each week. And then rank 11 to rank 50 are losing out on 220 Skystones a week. My main issue with this is that it makes pushing for frames complete garbage, because top 100 frames are usually free Skystones, because it's not really hard to place top 100 without refreshing more than 3 times. Typically, you'd refresh at most once. Top 30, it depends a bit more on how you're doing on offense that week, and a little bit of RNG, depending on how much you get hit. Some weeks you just get hit a bunch, some weeks you don't get hit at all. So sometimes you don't really have to refresh that much, or you'd be able to push way higher and not have to play as much on the following weeks. But for the most part, the weekly Skystone income, which it's not 220 because if we're able to hit Emperor, it would only be a 150 increase. Those 150 Skystones cover 5 refreshes, and that's generally enough to mostly negate your Skystone usage, even for a top 30 frame. And without any of that Skystone income, I wouldn't recommend anybody to push for top 30 this or any following seasons unless they change this, because it's just a giant Skystone sink. Top 100 is definitely still doable without refreshing as long as you're good on your offense. This rank issue is new to this season because of the point gain changes. It's definitely entirely worse than last season, which last season still had their issues, but it was at least possible to hit as high as Legend 4, just with using natural flags. So if they're going to do changes for next season, honestly, go back to the old format at this point. Because there's separate issues with point camping, which I'll go over right after this, that make this new format really unviable, and even if they want to stick with this new format, last season was way better than this one because you could at least hit Legend 4 and get weekly Skystone income for pushing top 100, or even just playing naturally for some of the higher end players, you'd be able to hit Legend. Another way to fix this rank promotion issue would be to just simply remove this point requirement from Legend and Emperor and also Champion, I guess. There would, of course, be issues with big point fluctuations at the very start of the season because everybody gets reset to the same point amount. But you could largely get around this by just not giving out ranks above Champion 5 until a few days into the season. So you give a few days for everything to settle, or maybe even wait until Sunday of the first week and just let things settle. But also, just going back to old systems would be way better than whatever we had this season. There's also a big issue with the season reset itself, which I'll talk about after, but first, let's talk about the point camping issue. So point camping has kind of been beaten to death at this point. The issue with point camping is just that it completely locks out the top 3 ranks from being able to be obtained, which because of the rank promotion issue, they weren't attainable anyways. It's not really plausible to climb past Champion 1, because even with the first time rewards, these 500 Skystones is not worth spending. Like, all of these Skystones is just not worth spending however much Skystones you have to use to climb this high. So that's a completely separate issue, but we talk about coin camping because it makes Legend 1 to 3 impossible to hit. And it's actually worse this season than before because I'm pretty sure that champion players cannot roll legend players in their lists. I do not think I've seen a single legend player while I'm in champion, even at max streak. And if I have, it's so infrequently that I just don't remember. So this means that these 14 people in legend pretty much can't really be hit by anybody below them. I'm not sure if it's a rank thing or a point gap thing, but at the very least, like, I haven't seen anybody like in this upper 10k section, and I'm pretty sure I haven't seen these two either. So the only people that can even hit the people in Legend right now should be the 14 people in Legend plus this one guy in Emperor. I did push into Legend very early on in the season just to see what was going on with the matchmaking, and it wasn't until I actually hit Legend that I could start seeing the top 3. When I was in Emperor, I could start seeing people in Legend at least, but I couldn't see the top 3 until I hit Legend. And even after I hit Legend, I wasn't seeing them very frequently. Anecdotally, it felt like I was seeing them a lot less than I did last season, though I also did spend much less time there this season. And I think the general vibes were worse with this season, so maybe I'm just imagining it more. But there's definitely new issues that popped up with the matchmaking this season, because I was also occasionally getting full lists of people in Champion 5 all with the exact same points. Like, I just get 3 people with like 5,021 points, and I'd be in top 100 and forced to hit some poor guy in Champ 5 because it's my only option. So I'd say this season was even worse than last season for first time rewards because of the point camping issue combined with the rank promotion issue. Largely the rank promotion issue, because even if there wasn't camping, it wouldn't be viable to climb up into, what is it, 7k to hit Legend 1? Yeah, it would be a pretty big Skystone loss compared to previous seasons, so that definitely still needs a lot of work. So the final issue is the season reset. So the season resets on Monday, assuming there's no preseason, and for a refresher, the way it works is that anybody in Legend and Emperor gets demoted to Champion 1, and anybody in Champion gets demoted to Challenger 1. Problem, there's only 15 people in Legend and Emperor right now, so if the season were to start, let's just say right now, there would be 15 people in Champion 1, and then everybody else would be in Challenger 1. I don't know if people remember before last season, before they implemented this new system, there wasn't an Emperor rank. So when the season started, there was 100 people in Champion 1, and then everybody else was in Challenger, and it was pretty much a complete bloodbath for the entire first week. This season's going to be worse because there's only going to be 15 people in Champion, though I'm sure some people are going to climb and push in the Emperor to avoid having to climb an extra 1,000 points next season, but it's still going to be the worst season reset unless something big changes in the patch on Wednesday. So like I said, there is a patch coming up, and we'll see what happens with that patch. But this was definitely a very bad arena season, and there's some pretty big changes that need to be made for the next one to be any better.